Welcome to Little Bracket of Horrors, the pod that puts the fight in fright.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Derek.
I'm Shelly.
And we are Little Bracket of Horrors. And this week we have a very, very special guest, Erica with Horror Happenings with the Dead Girl.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you guys doing?
We are doing swell. Shelly's doing swell, too. I don't want to speak for her, I guess.
Yeah, no, you can categorize me as the swell
Ooh, perfect.
type.
Well, I'm glad we're all in a swell mood for this movie.
There has to be something for this
I know,
movie.
yes. But, yeah, we talked about street trash. Shelly reached out to Erica. She was kind enough to agree to join us for this.
Yeah, I think I might have. I wouldn't call it trick her, but then, as you know, it's just the two of us this season. So once in a while, we want to bring in a third voice because you guys don't want to just hear me and Derek clamor around, as enjoyable as that may be. So I was like, man, who would like maybe have seen this movie? I was trying to think of like a like a good versed horror fan.
Yeah.
I was like, Erica maybe have heard of this before. Surprisingly, she had not. Now I kind of know why.
Yeah.
But she was still such a trooper.
Yes.
I think she watched it before me and Derek even bit into it.
Probably.
She
yeah.
got onto that homework
right away.
instantly.
Nice.
Yeah. My heart bleeds for you. We appreciate you coming along this ride with us.
Yes, we hope to make it up to you and have you back for maybe a more enjoyable film, but we'll find out. We'll get into our thoughts eventually. But before we do any of that, whenever we have a new guest on, we like to ask them a couple questions just to introduce them to the listeners. So, Erica, ready for the questions?
Let's do it.
All
I'm
right.
ready.
So, our first question was just, what's your first horror movie you remember watching?
It's got to be George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, 1978. It was weird. Like, I was being babysat, and my babysitter just went wherever, and I must have been asleep, and I woke up, and it was in the middle of like the mall scene where they had the bikers had just broken in and all hell's breaking loose, and I just remember vividly seeing this guy being ripped to shreds, and I immediately was like all in. And ready to go.
I'm pretty sure that's in our bag this year.
No, we have the remake of Night of the Living Dead. Yes.
Okay. We have one of the living. I thought we had a Dawn of the Dead in there. Maybe that was last season. But.
Yeah, it could have been. Do you remember how old you were?
I had to have been like maybe 8-ish.
Oh, wow.
Maybe younger even. It's one of like the first movie memories that I have. So I was pretty young.
Well, if anything's gonna kick you off, why not that one?
A guy getting ripped to shreds.
Yeah,
why not?
Perfect movie, perfect setup for a lifetime of love for the genre. I love that. Our second question is: are there any genres that you love or hate, and why?
I mean, obviously, I have a large love for the zombie genre, just because it stems from Dawn '78, and that's one of my favorite films amongst many. So that one definitely kicked off the love for that genre. I'm also a big fan of supernatural horror. I love it. Slashers, I enjoy them. They're not my favorite just because I feel like they're so overdone anymore that there's nothing really unique that I've seen any recent slashers bring to the table. So that's kind of starting to fall to the wayside for me personally.
Yeah, definitely. I saw on your YouTube page recently that you took a trip to the home of a classic slasher.
We did. We went to Camp Novi Bosco, which, I mean, I pronounced it wrong, like, forever.
Don't even ask me.
But it's amazing. We found out that it's an actual campground that is actively used. Every penny that they use from the tours actually goes back into the camp, and they're working on restoring more things to kind of showcase the scenes that were filmed in the original Friday the 13th at the camp. So if anybody ever wants to visit, it's in New Jersey, wants to visit Blairstown, New Jersey, like get up there and take this tour because it's an amazing and a must do for any true horror fan.
That's so cool.
When I was watching the video, my jealous meter broke right away. I was like, son of a jerk. I need to get up there.
Son of a
You would
gun.
look so
Son of a
beautiful.
gun. Yeah, it looks beautiful, and just obviously being, the setting to such an iconic movie, it's a bucket list item for sure.
Do it. They have like photo
I
ops
will.
set up and all kinds of stuff. You would totally love it.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So we talked about your first horror film you remember watching. What's your favorite horror film?
It's a tie. So I obviously Dawn of the Dead is there, but also the original Evil Dead film. I know everybody goes for Evil Dead 2, but the first one is definitely more of a favorite for me. I feel that one's more serious, not as slapsticky as the second one. So that's why I kind of prefer that one over the Evil Dead 2. But I still love Evil Dead 2. Don't get me wrong. The whole Evil Dead universe is fantastic. But those are my top two favorite horror films.
One of the coolest things, besides being a horror vlogger or whatever genre you want to place Erica into, is she does do some fun cosplays.
Mm-hmm.
Her hubby is an amazing makeup artist, and she did, I want to say, Deadeye Dash. Wasn't it Deadeye Dash? Like a gender bend on it.
It was Deadeye Dash.
It was really cool. You looked amazing. So, a nice little homage to one of your favorite horror movies, for sure.
We were talking about costuming, my husband, Davey and I, and he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, do you want to do Deadeye Dash? And he's like, oh, like a female? I was like, no female version. Like, I want to do Deadeye Dash, like the hardcore. So, I mean, he sculpted everything. He ran the molds for it. He applied it. Like, it was amazing, and it is one of my favorite costumes to date that I have done.
We will definitely have to get a picture and share that because I'm dying to see it. I have not seen it
Yeah,
yet.
it's really cool.
I'll send it over. And like a fun little tip about that is if you look at the arm in it where, when Ash obviously cuts his hand off, that's actually a solo cut.
Oh.
So when you see the image, that's something fun to try to pick out like what that actually is.
Creative and practical.
I like it.
Yes.
I like the behind the scenes stuff, the information we're getting here. I love it. All right, so what would you rather be bitten by, vampire, zombie, or werewolf?
This is a very important question.
It is.
It's a hard question, right? Like there's pros and cons to both of these. I've always been a huge fan of all three genres, to be quite honest with you. I'd have to probably go more like vampire than werewolf for the simple fact that as a vampire, I feel like you have more control over like your hunger, right? Whereas in a werewolf, you go full wolf mode and it doesn't matter who's around. You're just going to like go full bore on it. So I would have to go vampire for that one. For that reason alone is the control aspect.
Nice. We've had a few vampires, but I know Shelly and I were both werewolf.
Werewolf, yeah.
But
nice.
For the convenience of the once a month
Yeah.
thing. It's like a period.
we'll just lock ourselves up, right?
Yeah, just chain myself up.
That's fair.
Just get a good buddy who you can trust. Take the key. Don't let me out. for God's sakes.
Exactly.
To our final question, please tell us about Horror Happenings with the Dead Girl. How did it come to be? What's it about? And where can everyone find you?
So Horror Happenings with the Dead Girl came about, like 2016, 2017-ish. I started off, I was going into like stores, Halloween hunting, because it's obviously Halloween is my favorite holiday ever. So I'm looking for stuff. And I was like, I wonder if people know that this kind of stuff is out this early. And I started doing it as a YouTube channel initially. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to these stores and I'm going to shoot some video of what they can find and where these stores are located and websites and discounts and all these things. And then that kind of evolved into the Facebook page. And I started doing more things like local haunted attractions. Halloween Horror Nights is a big one here, as you guys know. Busch Gardens is another one. Of course, I do a lot of local stuff like Petrified Forest or Henry's Haunted Trail, Mortem Manor. Oh my God, there's so many like great local haunted houses. So I started doing those and doing some behind the scenes stuff. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to cover like all the spooky things. Orlando has a lot of spooky things that it offers. And most people don't know, like a lot of people don't know that there's a Halloween bar in downtown Orlando that's phenomenal. It's got like a speakeasy inside. People don't know that. People may go to Tampa and not realize that they literally have a place called the Speakeasy there that you can go to, and it's kind of creepy, and they do like teas and coffees and things, or the Castle even, which is like a very well-known goth club there in Tampa. So I kind of wanted to bring light to all of these places and all these small businesses here in Florida to show people like, yeah, you can come and go to the theme parks and that's great, but did you know that there's all kinds of really cool stuff here to do? So that's kind of how Horror Happenings has started, and it's still evolving. I still cover all the spooky stuff. I'm starting to do to kind of branch out a little bit more with like theme parks and really cool comic stores and things of that nature, movies as well. And we're all over the place. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, which I guess is X now or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
We're also on TikTok under just straight Horror Happenings. So that's kind of where we're at. We update stuff usually daily. We'll upload some stuff to all the social medias, and then every Wednesday I try to do a vlog where I'm physically out somewhere checking some stuff out. So, my last week was obviously Camp No Bosco for Friday the 13th. This coming week, we went to a haunted attraction in Georgia, so that one's going to be up this week, which is very well known, and that's going to be Netherworld. So we're going to be talking about that and showing you guys, little things there from last Halloween.
Nice.
I noticed recently, I think you've been going out to a couple shows as well.
Oh yeah, I've been, I love music, and it doesn't matter what the genre is. I used to work in a music store when I was not a kid, like teenager, and I listened to everything. So I made it a goal this year to start to go to more live shows, and there's a lot of great local shows. So I'm trying to kind of like promote them more and share, their sounds and their music more with people, because I tend to find that a lot of folks get stuck in like one genre of music, and they don't really know that certain genres exist, like psychobilly and the Coffin Cats and necromantic. So like a lot of people aren't aware of those. So I think it's kind of fun to shine a spotlight on that. So that's kind of what I've been also incorporating into the channel for this year.
Yeah, all the content is fantastic. You span a lot of different things, but it's still like a very concise and organized channel.
I'm glad it looks organized.
No, yes, yeah. It takes a lot. It takes so much. But yeah, so check out Horror Happenings with the Dead Girl. Hit up the YouTube page, Facebook.
The
TikTokies, that's right. So before we get into street trash, I want to check in with Shelly. Shelly, how you doing? Anything scary happen? Are you watching anything scary?
Oh, yes. I guess like the coolest thing in the scary genre that has happened in this most recent week is I was in Orlando for a little staycation for my sister's birthday. And because we stayed at a deluxe resort, we got to go into Haunted Mansion. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about. We got to go into Magic Kingdom from 10 to 12 as an after-hours thing. And I finally got to go through Haunted Mansion and see my boy Hatbox Ghost.
Oh, yes.
My boy.
That's awesome.
I still think Disneyland's better, but
I enjoyed it.
It was cool to see him and like be like, he's here now.
Yeah.
I love Disneyland's Haunted Mansion more than ours, but
yes.
Sorry.
What about you, Erica? Have you watched anything scary or anything scary happen that you haven't talked about yet?
Not really. Local oddity shop, Prometheus Esoterica, has their like sword and sorcery, so we've been over there. So I guess that's scary.
What about you?
That's
Derek?
awesome. I did watch a movie on Shudder. I think it's called Heart and Knife or Heart Plus Knife. 2019 movie. It's like Giallo style Italian horror, but it's about a lady. She does gay pornos. And there's a killer who is attacking her actors. It was really well done. French film. It's got subtitles, so you got to read a little bit. But I thought it was really good and a good modern take on that style of horror. But it was really enjoyable. If you guys have Shudder, anyone has Shudder, I would check out Heart Plus Knife or Heart and Knife, something like that. But I think it's definitely worth checking out.
Now that I have a minute to think about it, I did decide to watch like all the A24 films. Like,
okay.
I'm going down that road. But I did watch Life After Beth, which actually was pretty good. I guess you could put it into the horror comedy.
I think it's
about
adjacent,
zombies. Yeah. I watched that. It was a fun little ride. I watched a really bad movie behind that.
Is it the one we're going to talk about?
No. I just spoiler alert. I watched that once, and it was an hour ago. I finished.
Hey,
so.
Good job.
I did it.
Preparation.
I'm really prepared.
This is the charm of the show, though.
This is what makes this show so great. Your over preparedness and my lack thereof.
It bounces out. It bounces out. All right, guys, let's get into street trash. Our first segment is called Dig Up the Bones. And this is where I just introduce the movie, give a brief summary, go over some points. So here we go. Street Trash is a 1987 horror comedy. Budget was $500,000. It did have a limited theatrical release, but I couldn't find box office numbers anywhere, so there you go. But I guess the same year it was also out on VHS, so I'm essentially, I guess we could call it a straight to VHS. But it is starring, the first two guys I have were pretty notable because they went on to do other things. They weren't one and dones like the majority of this cast. But first we had Pat Ryan, who played Frank Schneiser, who was a scrapyard boss. Also the mayor in Toxic Avenger. I think he was in Class of Nukem High as well, trauma guy. So it makes total sense that he was in this movie. Then we got James Lorance. He played the teenage doorman, and he also played Jeffrey in Frankenhooker. If anyone see that movie, there you go. He was in this. Moving on, we have Mike. The rest of these are one and dones, but Mike Lackey played Freddy. Bill Chapel played Bill the cop. Then we had Vic Noto, who played Bronson. Mike, you say it.
Safarez.
He played Kevin. Then we had Jane Arkawa, who played Wendy. Directed by J. Michael Murrow. Written and produced by Roy Frumkes. Cinematography was by David Sperling. Music by Rick Ulfick. Makeup/effects department head was Jennifer Espinal. Street Trash tells a story of severely outdated and thus poisonous liquor, Tenafly Viper, being sold cheap by a Brooklyn liquor store. A group of homeless people start grabbing them and having extreme reactions after consuming it. While this is going on, a local cop, Bill, starts investigating a murder and then these sudden melting cases and attempts to eliminate the leader of the homeless gang, Bronson. Things in New York are about to go down the toilet. And that's Street Trash.
You think the New York Ripper was running around with the homeless?
With the duck voice? Have you ever seen the New York Ripper, Erica?
I don't think so, no.
There's
don't.
There's a great slasher guy who is got a duck voice, and he's calling very threatening phone calls into people in a duck voice. I want to dedicate a murder to you.
Oh, I'm going to have to give it a go now.
Oh, yes. Erica, you have to let me know what you think.
Okay,
But-
definitely.
Italian, if that tells you anything.
It's Italian, but it's in New York, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And I'm
perfect.
pretty
then.
sure it was shot in Italian
Yes,
and dubbed.
it's dubbed.
So bad.
So badly dubbed. But, all right, so initial reactions to landing on it from last week.
Disgusted.
Yeah.
I knew as soon as you presented it for the bag for our season that I was like, that's the shit. That's the shit on the shoe. That's the wolf cop. That's the Tammy and the T-Rex. And it was, of course, the wheel was like, here you go. Silver platter.
Yep.
The
right.
shit.
First one up to bat, big swing, and we get Street Trash. I came to I knew nothing of this movie until like last year. And Creeporama, the t-shirt company, I'm sure some people may follow them that listen to us, but they had a Street Trash shirt. Looked super crazy. I was like, what the hell is this? And then I saw the brief description of homeless people drinking alcohol and exploding and melting. And I was like, well, that sounds like it's for me, but we'll find out if that's the case. What about you, Erica? What was your initial reaction to Shelley reaching out to you?
I mean, I had never heard of it, so I'm always open to watch new films. Like, that's one great thing about me is that I'm open and I'm game for damn near anything. And sometimes I slightly regret it. Just a little bit.
Just a
but
little bit.
I didn't even watch the trailer. I just kind of dove in cold turkey to this thing,
Nice.
and yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
It's funny
yeah.
because you were like, yeah, Pat was in trauma film, and I was like, this is very like heavy trauma vibes, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah. I mean, I guess love it or hate it, we'll probably talk about it all season. There'll probably be things we won't stop talking about.
It'll be referenced till the end of this podcast.
Oh my
I can
gosh,
tell you
to
that.
the end of time, just like New York Ripper.
That's right. And that was like our second movie, I
You
think.
could be so bad that I don't stop talking about you.
I love it. There's a special place in your heart for me, and that's all that matters. Whatever that
Call it
space
that.
is. Whatever its space is.
Call it that.
All right, let's get into our roundtable discussion, Feasting Fiends. And this is where we talk about overall pros of the film, overall cons, characters, dialogue, and then we finish it off with our favorite kills or scares. So, Erica, with you being our guest, I'm going to throw these to you first. So, why don't you start us off with the pros?
okay. Are we doing spoilers at all?
I think we decided this season to
Yeah.
like not stress about spoilers. Like if you want to listen to our episode, you've probably either going to watch it or not watch
Yes.
it. So like we're just going to talk about it freely and openly.
And that's the thing too, because we're always pushing for people to watch this and then listen to the podcast. So I think it makes total sense. You want to come with spoilers, come right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
spoiler alert for anyone who isn't watching this. But don't worry, maybe we'll save you the time.
Yeah.
We might. So I gotta say, within the first 5 minutes of the film, you get nudity, right? Like full frontal
Yes.
nudity. Like they're not even playing with it. Like there's boobs, there's butts, there's balls, there's all of it.
Yes.
You're treated to all of it. So that's usually when I see that in a film, I'm like, okay, this is setting the tone. This isn't necessarily bad. I love trash cinema.
I love that this is a pro. Please go on. I'm so sorry. I just have to say, I love that this is your pro and you're kicking it off with this.
It screams like trash cinema, and I love trashy movies. Like I really do. They're my heart and soul. To the end of things, so that the full frontal was lovely for me. There's also a game of keep away that happens in the film. That is probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, and I was impressed that I made it that far in. Gonna be honest.
It was so long too. It was drawn out in slow mo. Oh my gosh, what a scene!
It was great. I laughed. I had tears coming at one point, not of joy, but just of it's so funny when you see it because it's something that you don't expect someone to have a game of keep away with, and it happens, and I'm like, wow, that's and no one's disgusted by it. Like
No one's running from it.
You know, everybody's all in, and no, they're all in. They're like, throw it here, and it's just it's such an interesting thing, and bless all the actors in this film, right? Because like you had to like given a script, and you're like, okay, guys, there's this scene where we're gonna play keep away, and I'm sure they all just went, what the hell is this? And it was amazing. So like that was cool. There was another really cool kill scene that was done that you kind of see through the eyes of the victim, but you see through like his glasses. So that was a very different kill for me. So I did enjoy that. And again, you know, trauma film reminiscent, probably along the sides of the trauma films that I'm not really a fan of, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I'm at with the pros.
Yeah. Perfect.
Nice.
That was great. Shelly, you want to go through pros?
Yeah. So you have to give respect to anyone who's going to use practical effects, which this whole movie was.
Oh, yes.
You know, anyone who takes the time, like regardless of if it's good or bad, to create that kind of makeup or like things blowing off or exploding, that takes time. So a lot of work did go into that. It's not their fault that the script was trash. I don't know if they did this. There's no fun fact here, but if they didn't use Viper as some kind of branding, I think that was a missed opportunity because that was probably the coolest thing that the drink was called Viper.
All I know is that I think there was a reissue in the 2000s for the Blu-ray or something, and then they had stickers
Little
for the
Viper
Tenafly Viper,
stickers,
but
yeah.
nothing with the original. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
There we go. We stuck it in.
Yeah, I just think that was a missed opportunity if they didn't. But and I, you know, just really trying here, but I really, really again, and I've done this before, and when it was over, that was the best
You've
part for
completed
me.
it. It's like you've been through a weird, terrible marathon, but now you've done it, and maybe you're not
it's really
better
long
for it,
for what it is.
but you're something.
It was really long for what it was.
Yes, and yeah, it was way too long. All right, we're getting into cons.
Anyway, so when it ended, that was
Yeah.
a happy moment for me.
All right, let me jump into my pros, but just to kind of piggyback off what you said about the one kill scene, Erica, with the guy and his glasses were on the camera and he got smashed into the windshield. But I thought some of the camera work was surprisingly really well done. It was different and fun camera shots. You know, that first guy who was like Bronson's like street rage victim. And then the first melting victim we got, he was in the rubble of that building sitting on a toilet. And as he was screaming, we got this almost like Sam Raimi-esque POV racing camera shot that just like came up to the toilet and then that goop just like stuck its head out. And I thought that camera shot was super cool. And then at the towards the end of the movie, when we got back into the Viper finally, Ed, the liquor store guy, when he drank it, there was like a camera flip as he was like melting. And I thought, even though like it kind of made me dizzy and I wasn't a fan, I do like that, they're trying to do something with the way of like showing this movie visually to us. And I know I don't want to get into fun facts yet, but there's a reason that someone's got a very long career in Hollywood behind the camera after doing this movie. But then I also, to what Shelley was saying, special effects, I mean, I came here for the special effects, and when I did get it, it was amazing. Some of the most creative and unique gore that I've gotten, I've never seen someone exploding and melting with like purples and yellows and reds and greens, and just like all the colors of the spectrum were just like represented. But I did want to give a shout out to Jennifer Espinal, who did that work. It was phenomenal. Obviously, she would go on to have a very storied career. But yeah, those were my pros. Next up, cons. What do you got, Erica?
It definitely was too long.
Yes.
Which was a big con for me, because you felt it, right? Like normally if you're watching a good film, it ends too quickly. If you're watching something that's not, your favorite, it's going to take a lot longer. So that was a big con for me. And then the other con that I had that I noticed is they're all over the place.
Yes.
There were so many characters that they were trying to develop, and some of them, they did a good job with like some of the, like the skeezy, like Pat Ryan, his character was like, he was just a skeezy piece of crap, and you kind of love to hate him for it. But everyone else, it was too much. Like they tried to do too much with everybody, and if they had scaled that down a little bit, stuck to a core group of characters instead of trying to bring in like the mob boss and people that you're just like, do we really need this guy? So that was another con for me that I wasn't a fan of. It also felt like it took a long time to get to anybody having like that melty explodey effect.
I know.
That one took a bit. Like I kept waiting, and I was like, all right, man, let's go. And when it did, as you guys said, the effects, they did a great job. I loved all the colors. Like that was awesome when they got to the exploding bits, but it took a long time for me, to get there. So those were probably my two biggest things. Like I don't go into this thing looking for Oscar-worthy performances. So everybody did a great job with what they had, with what they were given. I feel like, everybody kind of like stepped up and tried really hard. It was rough, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was rough.
Completely understandable.
But you did it.
Yeah, but you muscled through.
We did it together.
We did.
Right? We did this.
Love that. I love the positive attitudes. Shelley?
Yeah, to Erica's point, I have written here, it's just like, what does any of it have to do with the plot of the movie? You read a synopsis that said homeless people are going to be drinking shit and exploding.
Yeah.
It happens like once or twice in the beginning and then not again until the last 20 minutes. And I'm like, what was this whole middle part? The movie's an hour and 40 minutes. Hour and 40 minutes long. Can't even get it out. I'm so mad about it. But and then they're like, who is even the bad guys? Are the junkyard people or the homeless people? I don't know. Like, who are we like mad at here?
All of them.
I am
every
mad
single
at
one of them.
Every single one of them. So yeah. There's just ridiculous scenes that have no actual merit to what happens to the movie. Like the junkyard boss owner goes to, rape the one lady, and then he's like, I'll give you a raise since you're not going to let me rape you. And I'm like, what the fuck was that even scene for? Like, what? Because in the end, like, he had nothing to do with what happens in the end either. Like, I don't know. It's just idiotic things like that. Erica spoke in length about the Keep Away scene. It was with a penis. I'm just going to say it, a dick. It was hilarious. However, maybe that's a pro. I did enjoy the dick throwing scene as well. However, the lack of editing and details in the dick throwing scene, like, I get it. It's a low budget film, but the penis went from being bloody to suddenly with nothing on it. Like, it's a clean, like, someone rinsed the penis off before we started playing Keep Away extensively. Like, even if it's a trash film, you are all professionals. So, like, let's edit the thing and make sure it's consistent. But your penis, your dick that you're playing Keep Away with, went from completely bloody and ripped off to just, like, a fake penis.
It looked like it came out of the washer.
Yeah, like,
can we take a moment and appreciate the criticism that Shelley is offering to this prosthetic penis?
Yes.
Because it's my favorite thing.
It literally, like, I was like, oh, funny, they're going to throw the dick around. And then I was like, wait, You messed it up.
Yeah.
You ruined the dick throwing scene.
Well, there was 3 different dicks.
I know. I have that as one of my fun facts.
I
Do you
love
want me
it.
to talk about my fun fact now, or you want me to wait?
Sprinkle it in. Let's do it.
They had names.
Yeah, they did.
So the guy who played Fred, I think, or Mike Lackey.
Mike Lackey, Freddie, yeah.
He played Fred, who was like the main homeless guy, I guess you could say. He was also did some of the makeup, and he was talking about they have 3 different sizes. There was the little one, the pecker, the medium-sized one, the poker, and then the big one, the packer.
I love those nicknames, though.
Yes. Nicknames aside, you still edit it and cut it poorly.
Well,
and I'm mad.
I'm going to piggyback off that.
I'm upset. Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to piggyback off that. Apparently, there was a script and continuity department, Renee Rosenfeld, and I this was actually in my cons, and I was just asking myself why. Why was there a script and continuity department with this mess of a plot of a movie, and then our penises that aren't looking the same when they're throwing it around?
What were you doing, Renee?
Yeah, Renee, what were you doing?
She was on break.
What was your one job?
The most important scene in the movie, the dick tossing scene, the fumble rumble, and you can't get it right. Renee, how dare you?
I'm shaking my fist at you, Renee.
Yeah, hopefully you're still alive.
If not, we're sorry.
Sorry, R.I.P.
Respects.
We don't know. But
you can continue. That was my last one. So
that was okay.
You
good.
continue with your cons.
I felt hoodwinked, and you kind of touched on it. Like we talked about, we were supposed to get melting and exploding bums, and then we get this dumb, very confusing cop drama going on, and you sprinkle in a ton of sexual assault. And then, it's called a horror comedy. And then there's some physical stuff that was funny.
We're not going to talk about that this year.
We're not
the
horror
focusing
comedy?
on horror
Oh my
comedies
gosh.
this year.
So the comedy, I think, is based on a lot of the dialogue. And I'm not like an easily offended person. I enjoy crass humor and offensive humor. Like I like the trauma stuff, and I enjoy South Park. And South Park is absolutely like very offensive. But to me, the humor in this with the dialogue, it just felt more like mean-spirited. And it was like punching down. They're just calling, like, poor Wendy was just getting absolutely tore up by Freddie, by the things he was saying.
It was almost sad, the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
It wasn't tongue in cheek, and it wasn't like silly and lighthearted
Not
enough, like
getting
the trauma stuff.
exploding homeless people.
Yeah, more exploding homeless people, less disparaging words on minorities.
Erica may not know this, but one of my one thing that you absolutely don't want to watch or don't want to see, like Matt's less is always like spooky kids. He doesn't like that stuff.
Yeah.
I despise rape
Yes.
and that kind of shit
yeah,
and horror,
absolutely.
just because I don't think it adds any
Yeah.
kind of fulfillment. The only movie where I've seen anyone actually rage back on it was Last House on the Left, but at the end of the day, I don't think you even needed to show any of that in the director's cut to make it like my child was attacked and I need to avenge them, so like you can always find a plot hole when they add that kind of shit, so I hate it.
And when we got into the meat of this movie with all that bullshit, like I was just like, come on. I was like, this fucking movie was not supposed to be this. I was here to have fun.
Is that all you could think about? Is Shelly's
like,
probably over there like just like
I was like, what am I putting her through?
yeah, and Erica, both of us.
I
How
know.
dare you?
For shame.
In those scenes, they're trying to make him comical and playing that like oboe, like wind instrument that's just like boom, 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 boom. It's like a guy's about to commit necrophilia, and I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for it at all.
It felt like they were trying to almost like John Waters it.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
can
I
see
mean?
that.
Like
I can
where
see
they
that.
were trying to go for that type of, I don't want to say raunchy comedy, I guess would be a good description for it. And I mean, to be fair, like they failed miserably with it, whatever the attempt was that they were trying to do it. But yeah, I'm not a fan of watching films at all that have that type of scenario in it, so that those sections are definitely a harder watch for some people, and it honestly added nothing to any of this story whatsoever. It was like pointless.
Yeah. Roy Frumke is the guy that wrote this. He's got a quote. He said, democratically, he wrote this film to offend everybody, but I think the delivery was a big miss for him. Because when you're doing a horror comedy, like I said, like the trauma stuff is tongue-in-cheek, and this was just like punching down.
You have to stay in it the whole time, and they do not here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
They missed that mark.
All right, let's move on into characters. Erica, start us off.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, okay. I wanted to like some of the characters. It was a hard going, just because, again, it goes back to that, like, you're trying to overdevelop everybody, and you can't do that. And that's with any film, let alone like this hot mess. Like, it was hard. Like, I kind of wanted to like, Fred. I wanted to like his character, him and Wendy. I wanted to kind of like her too. And as far as like likableness goes, I feel like maybe they were it. I didn't really like, and that's a stretch. Like, that is a far stretch, because again, I didn't really like anybody. I didn't really dislike anybody. Like, Frank in there is probably like meant to be the one that you're going to dislike the most, right? Because he's like that skeezy, scummy boss man. So I kind of get what they were going with him, but like the other characters, it's just like, we're just going to have, it felt like they were just making a movie to have a bunch of their friends in the film. And it was hard to like find a character that I was really rooting for or gravitating to, or even one that I was like rooting against. They all just kind of fell flat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I pretty much wrote the same thing word for word and said the same thing, that if I had to pick one, I think Fred was the most developed, but I think maybe that's because he was the most seen at times. Like, he was involved in every whatever little thing was happening. So maybe like, but that's the thing. There was no character development. We don't know any of these people. And fun fact, Vic Noto, who played Bronson, was called in like 12 hours before filming, and he never actually got a script. They probably were just grab this guy's penis and you rip it and say, here we go. Like, that's your line.
Yeah.
And so like, we don't really know. He even stated, I don't know even who Bronson is. We don't know who Bronson is. So how do you expect us to root for or dislike any people if we really don't have any context to them?
Yeah. I feel like to talk about like the most complete character, I felt like we got a lot of backstory on Bronson, even though it was like these weird like flashback scenes to the war, and like you had those like vampire people crawling up his leg. Like, that's another like weird mind trip going on. But at least we saw why he was crazy, and all these other people were just coming and going throughout like this, I guess, plot. But I was just like you guys struggled to find and champion any of the people, even like with Wendy, who I like was rooting for. Like, she was scheming on an underage kid the whole show. I mean, we got introduced to her. She was crawling up his leg and growling at him. I don't know. But like, they're like all the characters are predators. It was ridiculous. It was a tough go to find, any kind of character that, and I guess in a movie called Street Trash, we should expect that. Maybe that's by design. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the characters.
So we all felt the same way. Is what you're really trying to say.
Essentially, we're just echoing Erica here.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on into dialogue.
Do we even have a discussion in dialogue?
Is there anything you want to say, Erica, about dialogue?
I mean, I did have a favorite line from the
great.
film that made me laugh.
Nice.
So at one point, like, the two brothers, because like Fred and then like the younger kid are brothers, and he kind of references this to his younger brother before he's born, and it was just literally him saying, doing the backstroke in your dad's in his balls. That kind of had me laughing because, he's referring to when he was a sperm and not even really a being yet. So, I mean, that was the only thing that had me, like, cackling. Otherwise, the dialogue was just kind of, like, flat.
Yeah.
Nothing, like, super memorable other than that. And that was just because it made me giggle like a 12-year-old boy, let's be honest.
Well, that's why we all love the dick throwing scene too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, listen, this movie, it had potential to get us in. We're not against watching dicks being thrown around in a junkyard, obviously, but yeah, dialogue's rough. What about you, Shelley? Is there anything you want to touch on?
No, I have nothing. I said I could have written it.
Yeah.
That's how good it was.
It was really tough. Bronson surprisingly had 2 one-liners that I enjoyed. After he killed that guy in the streets, the guy was talking to him about being Army Reserve, and after he killed him, he just called him a weekend warrior. And then there was a second line that Bronson said. Again, it was another throwaway, but it was when he was making out with his girlfriend in the airplane and interrupted him, and he just pumped his fist and said, "Air support." Fun facts, they weren't far from, I don't know what airport it was, but they kept having issues with that scene because the airplanes were coming through and interrupting him, so the guy cut that in and got a shot of the airplane, and I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny that he asked for air support with making out with his girlfriend. Let's move on. Favorite kills or scares? We got. This is gonna be a fun part. So Erica, what do you got?
I mean, I kind of already talked about it, which is the guy with the glasses that gets pulled through, the windshield, and you're kind of seeing it through his perspective. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned the guy in the toilet and his meltiness that's going on. That was cool. The color schemes again were awesome. No real scares though for me in this one. It didn't really view it. It's not really. I don't think it's meant to be scary. I don't know what it's meant to be fair. I don't think any of us do. But yeah, those were probably the only two really death scenes that stood out. And again, it was mostly due to that cinematography with the glasses.
Yeah. What about you, Shelley?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. The toilet scene is probably the best, and it's in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, all the other exploding people that happen is about on par of the toilet scene, but you can't beat him getting sucked in like he did. So
yeah. I think the melting guy on the fire escape with the cat hanging out. Who the cat's name? He was in the credits. Did you see his name?
No, I did not.
No.
His name is Jet, and he was in the credits. But
Aww.
yeah. So the guy's toe exploding and just dropping goop on. Actually, fun fact: the guy who got the goop on his face was Roy Frumkes, the writer of this film, and that scene was. I like that scene a lot too, and that kill, I guess you could say, because there's a lot of action going on. You have the guy melting on the fire escape and then just dripping on this dude. And we get this part of the movie which doesn't show up anywhere else, that if you get this stuff on you, then you're also going to start burning. So we didn't get that anywhere else. But, in that scene, it was cool to see, this guy. And the effects work on that was awesome. There was smoke coming off his face, and just the sound effects or the soundboard for that moment was really, really amazing too. So yeah, I'll give a shout out to that scene and it for my favorite kill. But let's move on into Final Cut. And this is where I reveal the ending of the film and we discuss and give our ratings of 1 to 5 stabs. 1 stab, no redeeming value. 2 stabs, bad. 3 stabs, mediocre. 4 stabs, good. And 5 stabs, masterpiece. After finally getting a bottle of Viper to consume, Freddy witnesses a fellow homeless man convulse and explode right in front of him. Realizing that Viper is poisonous, he runs off to tell Ed the bad news. On the way, though, he sees Wiz and uses this as a chance to exact his revenge and baits Wiz to attack him. Wiz, as expected, beats him up and steals his bottle of Viper. He starts melting against the wall and dies. With his mission complete, Freddy heads back to the liquor store to warn Ed, but it's too late. Ed's turned into a pile of muck. Back at the junkyard, Bronson ends up with a bottle of Viper, but his girlfriend steals it before he can take a sip. She chugs it and instantly starts melting while she sticks her hands in her chest. Enraged, Bronson sees Wendy and Kevin and interrupts Wendy committing statutory rape, then starts chasing Kevin around the scrapyard. Freddy comes to his aid, and as Bronson is lifting Freddy high into the air, Kevin releases a pressurized gas bottle and takes Bronson's head, and part of his chest clean off. With his decapitated head on the ground and somewhat conscious, Wendy rushes to Kevin and the two embrace. As the credits roll, we cut to the doorman being held captive by Mr. Duran, and of course, he finds a bottle of Viper on the teenager. He takes a bottle and drinks it, and while he starts to scream and melt away, we get a rendition of I Did It My Way, sung by Mr. Duran. The end. What did you guys think of the ending of this movie? Erica? We're leaving the silence in there.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of like the rest of the movie, right? Where it's taking a couple of characters that really didn't have much to do with the plot, and it was just kind of throwing it in there just to it felt like they were just trying to wrap everybody up into one thing.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that he kind of got his comeuppance because he was a bit of a dick, so it was funny to see the doorman smack talking him as he was coming into a goo and talking about how he's now the boss. So I mean that was gave me a little chuckle, but I was relieved when it was over.
Yes, yeah.
That I could escape street trash. Yeah, man, it just I want to say good things about it, right? Because I don't want to rag on anybody that like worked on the film and put their heart into it, because obviously they love it, you know. So it feels like it's more of a passion project for them, and I get it. But man, it's not for me.
Yeah. Shelley, how did you feel about the ending?
I know that was one of my pros when it ended, but like at the same time, I was like, really, that's it? Like we have no like wrap up, no wrap up. It was just like the guy's dead, and I'm gonna go over to this miner, and like we're gonna hug on each other, and we're gonna call this a day. And then they go to the mob scene, and I'm like, what? It was bad, real bad.
Yeah. I think, you know, and we've all kind of said this a bunch of times, but it suffers from a lack of focus. Again, with this doorman and the mob guy. And I think it was the director, J. Michael Murrow, who really enjoyed the scene earlier in the movie with these two characters kind of riffing on each other and talking shit. But like, it really had nothing to do with anything. It was an odd ending. Let's get into our stabs. Erica, what do you stab street trash?
Man, I can't. I'm sorry. It should have been a 20-minute short.
Actually, it's a short. It was based off a short film. I think it's 15.
Stayed that way.
It's a 15-minute short film. It's on YouTube. But yeah, Mr. Murrow put a short film together, and then it became this. So maybe you might like that more.
I mean, it definitely should have stayed a short. I don't really see how it had any redeeming value. So I'm just gonna give this like a negative one stab for me. I want to like it? Of course I did, because it was nice and trashy and, trauma-esque, and it just, I can't. Like, I'm sorry. And again, everybody that worked on it, I'm sure you guys did your all, and for what you did, great job, but just, no.
Yeah.
It's a no. What about you guys?
Shelley, take it away.
Erica did what I was going to do for the first time ever, which I've never done. I was going to give it a negative one myself.
Take it.
Just because, like, I've got nothing. I got nothing, and it has no legs this season. I'm sorry. Wasted my fucking time.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the first 10 minutes of this movie, and the last 20 were a lot of fun, but it pissed me off because I felt hoodwinked. I felt like I was promised one thing and given something else, to the point where, and I was kind of talking about this last week, Shelley, when I was talking about When Evil Lurks, that there are a lot of great parts of the movie, but there was this one aspect of the movie that like ruined everything for me, and it like pissed me off. So where this movie, if they would have cut out some of the middle stuff, it probably would have been like a 3.5 for me. It ended up with a 1 stab for me. This is my first 1 stab.
As I say, you always find some redeeming value.
I do, but like I said, that middle part just pissed me off because it could have been so great, and it could have been a fun, campy, like special effects movie, and it was just I was so let down. And like I know, I've been consuming a lot of different podcasts this week, just trying to get get my finger on the pulse of this movie and see what people think. And it's a very divisive movie. I mean, a lot of people shit all over it, but a lot of people championed it and love this film. So I know it has its people out there. It just, unfortunately, we just recorded a podcast with 3 people who did not enjoy it. All right, so next up, Loose Ends. And this is just a catch-all segment where we talk about any fun facts or any last thoughts in a movie. So there was one scene outside of the penis hot potato scene that I wanted to talk about, and that was when the cop got into the fight with the hitman, I guess it was, who was coming after Freddy in the restroom. And after he beats the shit out of him, he drags him back into the bathroom, puts him in the urinal, and then the most cop thing I've ever seen in my life, he gags himself and throws up on the dude's head. That scene actually had me laughing, and I showed my wife. I was like, "Carrie, you have to watch this scene. Come watch this scene." She was not impressed. She was not impressed at all. Do you have any fun facts, Erica?
The funnest fact of this is if you go on IMDb, there is a slew of people that praise this movie, including one of the staff that worked in this film, right? Of course, it was like their heart and soul. So I mean, I want to know who these people are.
Yeah.
Because I would love to hear from somebody who thoroughly enjoyed this film, because as you kind of point out, all of us were on that same page of like, oh God, no with this. So I'd be curious to hear from someone who actually liked it. But that's my little fun fact is IMDb has a bunch of people that love this film, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sitting at a 5.9 out of 10 stars. Most people.
Wow.
There's a lot of 10s in there, more 10s than 1s, which is shocking.
Wow.
So yeah,
I mean, maybe
most
they
notorious
just...
melt movie must be viewed by all.
Must be viewed.
Magnificent trash.
Listen, I know on YouTube there's a compilation of just the melt scenes and explosions. It's like 8 minutes something. Just watch that.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Then that's all you need to know.
Yeah. We can file this under, I guess maybe some people are asking for it, but not us. But according to Variety magazine, Street Trash is getting a reboot, and it will be released this year on Screenbox. And who's the director? Ryan Kruger. For his version this year, he's taking it out of Brooklyn and moving it to Cape Town, South Africa. So if anyone has the itch for more Street Trash, you're going to get a reboot this year.
Nope.
No, I'm good.
All right, good.
I'll leave that for you, Derek.
You
Maybe.
watch it, you let us know.
I am a bit of a completionist, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Next up, we have Voices from Beyond. And this is where Shelly goes to our social media platforms and share your guys' thoughts. So take it away.
I couldn't tell if people were excited to be back and that's why we got so many comments, or just this was a free to watch on Tubi and that's why. But thank you for all showing up for this shitty film. First, we have Brian M. At least we got this one out of the way. When the main character looks like Torgo from Manos, The Hands of Fate, you know you're in for a bad time. The premise of the bums drinking this mysterious viper liquor that makes them explode is interesting enough to get you to start watching, probably why Derek picked it. But then it just forgets about that, and we're treated to taking advantage of a drunk girl, said girl getting gang raped, necrophilia, flashbacks, and penis hot potato before finally getting back to the Viper plot, which never gets resolved. True.
Yeah.
The only tolerable characters were Bert, Wendy, and the doorman. The special effects were pretty good too. I'm not sure what those Spider-Man and Hulk things in the bum cave were, but we now know this is the worst movie both characters have been involved in. Dethroning Spider-Man 3 and Ang Lee's Hulk movie, respectively.
Wow.
And shout out to that car in the beginning that just fell apart when it crashed and clearly had no one driving it. One stab, and that's being generous. The movies this season can only get better from here. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to watch Rabbit or Tammy and the T-Rex as a palate cleanser. Not Rabbit, please don't. Jeremy W. said, oh my God, really? That was one messed up movie. Kind of funny, but mostly very disturbing. What a way to start off the new season. Hope my pick gets on the wheel and pick this season. LOL. Love you guys. And I'll give this movie 3 stabby stabs.
Whoa.
Hope next one would be better. 3?
That is very generous.
You need to have a discussion with your brother.
I might.
You might have problems. Lisa C. gave it a 0 out of 5. LOL. We started it and turned it off. It was terrible.
Oh, nice.
My predictions. Shelley most likely won't like this. Derek most likely be in the middle or will like it. Either way, glad it's off the wheels so early. LOL. Now on to better movies.
Yes.
Scott F. said, this movie made me very uncomfortable. Most horror movies are supposed to do that, but this movie was just gratuitously uncomfortable. I love how the budget is so low they couldn't afford a police uniform for Bill. It took me 15 minutes to realize he was supposed to be a police officer. This movie feels like a student film project that got a D-, a budget of $10, and no script. No redeeming characters and no plot. It was painful to watch. And then Taker of Left Socks on TikTok said, great practical effects and the ending is dope AF, but man, nobody is a good guy. They are all terrible people.
Yeah.
And then Maddie W. said...
Hey, back from the dead.
said, Derek. Way to start the season off. What a terrible, terrible movie. Complete and total waste of time. Not funny, nor entertaining. Boring and sad. Holy shit, was it bad? 1 stab. Can you start over? Tell us how you really feel, Matt.
Yeah, Matt. You know you missed subjecting yourself to this mess.
And that's it. That's our Voices from Beyond.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for kicking this season off with us. And next, we're getting into our favorite segment, especially today, because we're getting to move on.
Yes.
So next segment is Wheel of Death. And this is where, first and foremost, we need to replace Street trash.
For it to never be seen from again.
Goodbye.
Good riddance.
Yes.
All right. We had a lot of viewer picks end up on the wheel for our initial polls, so let's see if we can get some of mine and Derek. Some of mine, not Derek's.
Listen, that was the only one.
Um,
What are we replacing street trash with?
Lake Mungo.
Nice. Lake Mungo.
Back on the wheel.
Really?
For it to
sit forever, just like last year.
season.
All right. So, are you guys ready for the 10 movies?
All right. What do we got on the wheel? What 10?
So, we have Alien, which is, I think, Sherry. Yep. And then we have Scream, which is
Carrie.
Lake Mungo, our new addition.
Yep.
And then we have The Wailing, which is horror flicks and guitar picks.
Mm-hmm.
And then next we have Behind the Mask, Leslie Vernon, which is Brian.
Yep.
Then we have The Babadook, which is Shelley's.
That's mine, yeah.
Then we have The Stuff, which is Shelley.
Yep.
Then we have The Shining, which is Matt.
That's Matt, yeah.
Next, after that, Event Horizon, which is me.
Yeah.
And then finishing off our movies is Paranormal Activity, which I think
another one of mine.
is yours.
Yeah.
So let's go to the wheel. All right, you ready to chant?
Ready to chant.
All right, here we go. Wheel of Death. Wheel of Death. Wheel of Death. Wheel of Death. Next up,
Oh, wow.
we have Alien.
All right, Sherry F.
Sherry
That's our
F.
pick. So we'll be reaching out to Sherry F. to see if you'd like to join us on our Alien episode. Let us let you know where you can view said movie that I'm never prepared for.
1979
Alien, the original.
Alien.
Yeah.
Yep.
Such a classic. That's a good choice.
Yes.
Can it be watched on Disney Plus? What is that? Why is that showing up in my list? I have
Is
it on.
she a Disney princess?
Wait a minute.
If she is, I'm all in.
There we go. So where
I
is
see it on
Alien
Hulu.
available?
And,
Hulu? Okay.
let me just see if it's on here. Oh. Hulu and Disney Plus.
Oh my goodness gracious.
You
This
can
is
watch
perfect.
it on either of those streaming. So hopefully you have one of those streaming platforms available to you. If not, we can do a little research. Sometimes the full movies end up on
YouTube and
YouTube
stuff.
and Tubi down the line. Sometimes you can even just if you have YouTube Live TV, just search Alien, and if it's coming up, you can DVR things on that. So
nice.
All right.
All right, guys. So our next episode drops February 14th. If you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please hit the follow button and give us a rating and review if you like what we do. You can find us on Facebook and TikTok by searching Little Bracket of Horrors and on Instagram by typing at Little Bracket of Horrors. We also have merch available at tpublic.com. Just search for our name in their website search bar or pay attention to our socials for a direct link. Erica, you want to plug your channel?
Sure, why not? And if you guys are interested in seeing what's happening in the Orlando and surrounding area, Florida, also I'm branching out to outside of Florida, make sure you give me a follow, Horror Happenings with the Dead Girl, and that's on all the social medias, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I forget about X half the time, so I mean,
X.
if you follow me there, I'm sorry, I slack.
Perfect. All right. So with that, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm Derek.
I'm Shelly.
And we will catch you on the other side. Our first segment is called Dig Up the Bones. And this is where I just introduce the movie, give a brief summary, go over some points. So here we go. Street trash. Let me redo that again. My voice cracked.
Going through puberty right before our eyes.
Exactly. All right. Man voice time. Sorry.
It's okay. I've got it.
Okay. All right. Bronson surprisingly had two one-liners that I enjoyed. After he killed that guy in the streets, the guy was talking to him about being Army Reserve, and after he killed him, he just called him a weekend warrior. And I thought that was a creative little one line in that moment.
My dog's trying to get out. I think she might need a poop.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, we can
What's
take a
wrong?
break.
Chuleta, go lay down. Go lay down. You're fine.
This is making the extra
Go lay
content
down.
at the end.
It should.
It will.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Let's
right.
see if she keeps begging now that I've addressed her. Go lay down. No, she's not listening.
She's not listening.
She
I can barely see
she's
her.
not smart.
Aw.
She's just here to look pretty.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Looking gorgeous. Looking fabulous and gorgeous.
I don't think it's meant to be scary. I don't know what it's meant to be fair. I don't think any of us do. But yeah, those were probably the only two really like death scenes that stood out. And again, it was mostly due to that cinematography with the glasses.
Yeah. What about you, Shelly? Favorite?
I'm gonna take her.
You take her? All right, cool. All right.
Sorry, you guys.
Strategic pause for the doggy to go piddles outside. Poor pup.
She just wants to go outside.
Shelly's back.
I'm back. My dog ran away
Welcome
from
back.
me.
Faked you out.
She just doesn't want to be. The bed that's in her pen is like her least favorite.
Aw.
So now she's on my
Aw.
sister's bed.
She'll be
She has
fine.
her own human bed now too. Leon.
Queen size bed.
I'm ready.
All right.
Kills /
All right.
scares. Tell us how you really feel, Matt.
Yeah, Matt. You know you missed subjecting yourself to this mess.
I think we need to pause because you're getting a phone call.
Oh my gosh. Ignore.
Someone's trying to call in. Just send it a voicemail.
There it is. Okay.
You still
Sorry.
there, Erica?
Yeah, you're still
Okay.
there.